Today I want to talk to you about the Heibel Valor, which I unboxed yesterday. This knife is really cool. Uh, Heibel is known for making custom knives and has had a couple of production knives, the Valor being the first one. The current one is the Invictus, which I believe Will Hirsch made a video recently talking about how he's in love with the Invictus. And so I was like, well, I was trying to get one kind of. But then I was also trying to trade my Medusa, and I ended up trading it for this Heibel Valor. This knife is really cool. And first, I want to talk about the history. This is Adam Heibel's first production knife. Uh, this is the Proto 5, serial number Proto 5. I don't know if there's any noticeable difference between the prototypes and the productions. These I think sold between like 500 to 600 ish dollars. I think it's like middle of the road 500 for uh, their MSRP, but the prototypes were auctioned off, and I think this was auctioned off for like $750, which is wild. And that was in December of 2019. So this knife has some history. If you find on Heibel's um, Instagram post, you can see this knife when it was first sold, and it had a much brighter blue. And I don't know how many hands this has gone through, but it's gone through some stuff. There's some scuffing a little bit on the blade. Uh, there's a little bit of yeah. But what I really like too is also it has like these gorgeous machine lines. I'm gonna see if I can show it. Um, it's kind of like the Serif blade, I feel like, where it has like these really nice machining lines, and it is just not showing up. Please. You'll have to take my word for it. Now, what's interesting also about this knife is 5.1 ounces. So this is one of my heavier knives. It is, however, despite being that heavy, it feels pretty neutral. Handle bias slightly. Nothing too crazy. Nothing out of my preferences. Uh, and despite its heft, it's actually very fluid because it runs on caged ceramic bearings. Now, I have other bearing knives, such as the uh, Talisong Z, and I also have a Kershaw Lucha, and I find that bearings are really good for giving heavier knives. This isn't even that heavy, but it gives heavier knives, such as the Lucha, uh, a lot more fluidity. Um, Also, the Bermuda is also on bearings. And so heavier, heftier knives feel more fluid when they're on bearings, in my opinion. I just recently got a Demon Atropos, and that is on bushings. And it feels fine, but I think something about bearings just kind of gives it that speed and momentum, which can also be kind of scary when your knife is really sharp or fast. This isn't thankfully that sharp, but it's still a live blade. That said, despite this being a bearings knife, this is caged ceramic bearings, and I don't really know too much about ball bearings in general. I don't think they are ceramic. But what I find about these specific bearings, these caged ceramic bearings, is that it actually feels somewhere in between what traditional ball bearings feel like uh, and bushings. It's like this really nice happy medium where it still gives this knife uh, agility and a lot of that inertia carry. But one thing I find that with ball bearings is that because of how you kind of have to let the knife tell you where it wants to go, bushings gives you more control, um, and you can kind of have like a little bit more control, especially if you want a fan. Uh, but like ball bearings, you have to like be. It feels like you're balancing on a tightrope, and a lot of times it can feel like you're like cycling. But the ceramic bearings feel like halfway between ball bearings, traditional ball bearings, and bushings, which is something else. I've never had anything that quite feels like this. I love this handle design. These concentric circles are like nice and chamfered, so they don't feel too rough on your hands. Like terraced pattern is really also soft too, and relatively speaking. So I have like sensitive skin from like estrogen or whatever. And then there's also like this odd kind of milling pattern down here. It's deep enough in this groove that I don't really feel it. Um, and this had a latch, but it got lost at some point. If you know where the Proto 5 Heibel Valor latch is, I am in search of it. I'm not saying that I like latches, but I like my knives to like come with everything that they had, especially since this knife has so much history. If you know where this latch is, let me know. I'm also interested in like any Valor latch. I'll pay for shipping or whatever the fuck. Um, so yeah, my not to have like serious complaints about any 4-year-old knife. Uh, their spacers are not jimped, and for something this heavy, if I try and do ladders on it, it can fly out. So I might try and see if I can get someone to mill some jimping lines into the spacers because I think I'm gonna keep this. I don't really see. I was like, if I don't like it, I'll trade up. Maybe I can find something. Like this has so much history to it that like maybe I can like trade it for something that like I really want. But now that's in my hand, it's like I'm keeping this. This is part of my collection. Um, it has for something so hefty again. It feels very agile. It rolls over really well. Performance anxiety. Yeah. But I've just been digging around on this. Like I can do the extended full twirl on this without feeling like I'm. It can get a little exhausting just because it's so hefty, but it just fucking feels really good. And while this is not like my go-to flipper, this is not close to my preferences. If you know me, you know I love having a robust collection, and this is certainly going to be a part of my collection that I can just be proud of owning it, and I can show it off, and just really happy to have. So it fans well, it rolls over well, and I'm sure the Invictus is great too. The Invictus is like 4.5, so it's a much more reasonable weight. And I have not tried any of Heibel's other knives, but this is really good. This is really good. Sandwich titanium. I don't think I would get any mod work for anodization. Has really good tolerances. When I squeezed it all the way down with the screws, it was a little bit of binding, but I put a little bit of medium juice and I loosened up the screws slightly, so hopefully if I do want to screw it down tighter, it'll be fine. But it just feels so good. It's a sandwich knife, so it doesn't have like the most amazing sound ever, but it's decent. I'm there we go. But yeah, I was just so excited that I'm like, the more I think about this knife, the more I like want to talk about it and like flip it. So I was just in a rush to make this video. So if you like covering knives that you've never heard of or seen, or like have never flipped and are curious about just learning about other Balisongs out there with such a wide variety of things, like, comment, subscribe, throw a couple bucks towards my coffee, because acquiring weird, unique knives, a lot of times discontinued knives, it's not cheap. So thanks for tuning in, and I hope you all have a wonderful day flipping, because I certainly am. I don't even do choker fans. I don't even do choker fans that much, but I'm just like, yeah, this choker fans pretty well. Yeah. Let me see if I can close on the... Oh, shit. I'm going to try and close this video on the ice pick close. Good enough. Happy flipping, everyone.